All right, welcome
Back
to
the
Iron
Brothers
Podcast.
and Video.
Ooh, Season 2, Episode 2.
Episode 2, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. We appreciate the love and support. We are tracking two average men going through the training program of becoming Ironman.
From couch to Ironman.
Couch potato to iron... Not potato.
Iron mashed potato.
My legs are already mashed
Yeah.
potato from all this
My
training.
body feels like a mashed potato.
For real. But we are 3 week 4. We're almost 3.
We're in
I
week
can't even
4.
talk.
We're 3 weeks in now. It's been a little bit since we checked in.
It is, yes. How has your training been so far?
Oh gosh. So there's a lot to cover, but
Yeah.
I'll say first week, the body was still feeling all right. I think it hadn't caught up to me yet. And so I felt like I was going strong. Second, third week up to now, what I've been telling people is just like my body's so sore, like all the time, just sore. But I would say for the first few weeks that we've done this, it's been an absolute grind to stay on schedule, on pace, get all the workouts in.
Yeah.
Because I think we talked about it last video, but we're working out 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And some of those days, I think 3 of the days are doubles.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to allot 2 times during the day, either back to back or separate for the workout. And then once you get towards the weekend, you get the longer stuff, like the hour and a half, hour 45 type stuff. So I feel like I've gotten in a fairly good rhythm, just getting stuff done in the morning. If I have a run to do that's shorter, I can do it during lunch break. And I haven't missed anything yet. So I feel good about that.
Yeah.
The swimming was a huge learning curve for me. The first day we went out, I thought I was going to die in the pool. But since then, I'm starting to get to the point where I can feel like some improvement. And each time those longer chunks of that swim workout feel a lot more comfortable once we get into like the 100, 125 yards. Mm-hmm. Those are starting to feel more natural. Yeah. I'm starting to feel more natural with like the breathing, with kind of the different body positions and strokes that are involved. So swimming's progressed. Mm-hmm. I would say bike, the first week or two was just like figuring out how to get comfortable on it. Yeah. And I had texted Jacob about it, and he said, that's just part of life. It's going to hurt. Mm-hmm. It's going to be sore. It's going to be uncomfortable.
Yep.
And so it really has gotten a lot better. I mean, the longer ones, hour 30, I still get antsy on the bike just from being on it so long, but I can see that progressing as, you know, I get more comfortable in that position. Mm-hmm. The legs are starting to feel stronger. I can kind of turn up the resistance little by little. And then the running feels pretty normal, pretty regular. I think it definitely helped to kind of have those last few months where we were hitting it pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to know that at least like one of those disciplines I feel comfortable with, honestly, really comfortable with at this point.
Yeah.
Because it gives me a lot more confidence knowing that I feel good in this. The biking and the swimming still scare me a lot at this point just because it's so new and I feel like there's so much to learn and so much room for improvement. And I know it's early on, but those freak me out just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, with the distances too, I think more than anything else, I think what freaks you out is the distance that we have to do on race day versus what we're doing right now.
100%.
Yeah. And I think as we progress through the training program, it dabbles in more of that high intensity training. It dabbles more into hitting 3 hours, 3.5, 4.5 hours on the bike. And just, I think it just is going to get you comfortable on the saddle just so you're ready for race day. Yeah. But yeah, at the beginning, it's intimidating, especially if you've never done it before.
Yeah. It probably isn't. a good spot for my head to go where I'm thinking that big picture where it's like, okay, I did this many yards in the pool this morning, but I know the end goal is
I need to add another 1600 to it.
Yeah. So that, I think that's the part where it's a little bit of that mental game where it's like, you're just not going to, be fully prepared right now. I'm not going to be able to do those distances right now. But that's why we have, 7 more months to train, something like that. And we're in that 10-week building the base phase and just kind of getting the fundamentals, building that foundation.
Yeah. Transitioning over to my first couple weeks. So
tell me about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had the same progress and success as you have. As I began first week of training, my left outer knee started acting up a little bit with all my runs, kind of shook it off. And as I got into the first half of the second week of training, I could only run 10, 15 minutes to the point where I had to start walking. So I dialed back my running regimen right now, and I'm just substituting it for biking. So on the bike, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling like I'm getting a lot of mileage, a lot of hours and time in the saddle, which is great because in my last Ironman, I felt like a lot of my room for improvement was on the bike. And so putting this little extra time into the bike right now, I feel like is going to pay dividends moving forward. But just trying to rehab the outer knee. I think it's an IT band issue. So I had a buddy who's dealt with this before. He sent me a bunch of exercises and stretches I've been using for rehabbing the knee, and it's been helping. I think we're middle of week 4 right now, and when I walk, it doesn't hurt. When I'm on the bike, it doesn't hurt. When I'm swimming, it doesn't hurt. And I haven't tried running yet since week 2. So I'm going to give myself another couple weeks of no running and then lightly sprinkle in some running over time and just kind of build up my base again.
Yeah.
But swim, it just felt like I was relearning how to ride the bike just from not swimming for so long. But I feel a lot comfortable in the water now after 4 weeks. I feel like the training reps and sets within our swimming programming can be a little monotonous and overwhelming. So honestly, what I do is the last 2 times I've swam, I haven't really gone per script in terms of the set regimen. I still do the pull buoy or whatever's on in terms of warm up, cool down, main set. But yeah, I just start a timer on my watch and I just go until I'm at 50 minutes. And then if I've hit the mark or not, then I just keep going. But if I've hit the 2,500 meters or whatever we're at right now, then I stop. So I just kind of...
Do you swim that consecutively or do you take a little breaks here and there?
So the last 2 times I've taken breaks at 1,200 meters and then so halfway, 1,200 and then 25. And just get a couple sips of water and then just keep going. But I just let my brain go to la land and just think about the craziest stuff. And one of the big ones is I'm just thinking about race day every time I'm in the water. And I'm just all right, what's my mindset going to be going into this? There's going to be 1,000 plus other people competing at this event. And they just released a half Ironman event for that same day at the same location too. So double the people, double the energy. I'm interested to see how my mindset's going to be going into it. I'm making a lot of big goals and aspirations in terms of times and how I want to finish. So a lot of that I'm thinking about too during the swims. But overall, swimming is great. I just feel like I need a couple tune-ups in terms of my form just for ergonomic purposes. I have a problem with only breathing on one side, and I feel like I'd do a lot better if I could breathe on both sides. My arm collapses every time I try to do the other side. So
I've been trying to sprinkle that in because what I heard recently was that if you get a current or any type of waves that are crashing on one side of you, if you can turn opposite and breathe, as opposed to if you're only comfortable breathing on one side, then you have the option to breathe away from where that current's coming from, or where those swells are coming from.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
hey, good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got to implement it a little bit more and just actually practice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done. But in terms of swim, bike, run, I feel like I'm doing great in the swim and bike. And then run, of course, I've had to take a break from it. But with our building session from August to now of prepping for a marathon and then just continuing to run high mileage, I feel like I'm in a good spot despite not being able to run right now.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to give you a little more confidence, knowing that we kind of set that foundation a little bit.
Yeah,
already.
like I know I can do a marathon. Like I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
So super happy with that. Transitioning over kind of into like a fun topic that I've always kind of wanted to talk about, especially on the podcast, because I want the viewers and like listeners to know what the cost of outfitting an Ironman or fitting a triathlete really is.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of different components. There's a lot of different events. Of course, there's 3 instead of just 1. So I just kind of wanted to talk about the different events and what's kind of required for you for each event, how much each of those kind of costs based off of like affordability. If you can pay top dollar, great, I'll give that price, but I'll give you all the prices of what I've paid for all of my equipment for my Ironman 2 years ago and what I'm still using for this next one too, because I haven't upgraded anything.
Sure.
I'm still using all the same stuff. So
would you say this is pretty bare bones, or maybe just like a step up from that?
Mine is like a mix between bare bones and intermediate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so you want decent enough gear for, because it's pretty prolonged training. So you can't skimp out too much on certain things. I feel like you want to get high quality gear that's going to last you and that's going to perform well. So I feel like what you're going to say is a good middle ground for that.
Yeah, exactly. So going into swim, there's two different fields in terms of swimming. You can either have a race that is wetsuit eligible or wetsuit non-eligible. Pretty much if the water's a certain temperature and it's below that certain temperature, you are eligible to wear a wetsuit. If it's above that temperature, you can't wear a wetsuit. Ironman's great because only the real place that is not eligible for a wetsuit is Kona. So I put the 80, 90 degree, or not 90 degree water, but with like the 70, 80 degree water, it's no brainer. It's not wetsuit.
Penticton's like 70.
Yeah, I think if it's below 74.5 degrees in the water, it's wetsuit eligible. And all the years it's been at Penticton, it's been wetsuit eligible. So super excited about that. With swimming, you need a cap, you need swim goggles, and you need the wetsuit. Really easy.
Yeah.
Cap and goggles, I got my cap from my sister and her middle school team. Shout out Chehalem swim team. Go Sharks.
I think I got my cap just recently at Fred Meyer, like $16.
Cool.
So
so not too bad. And then goggles I got off of Amazon for like $15.
Yep.
But I mean, you can ball out and get a nice pair of like Speedos, or you can get a pair of some high quality ones that go up into like that 50s to 100 range. Yep. And then for wetsuits, it was a big purchase for me, but what I did is I went to a triathlon store in Portland, and what they do every year is they discount their last year's editions for each of their wetsuits that they come out with, or any clearance rack stuff. So I went straight to the clearance rack for wetsuits, and I got mine for 80. That otter texture of a wetsuit. But I mean, if you really wanted to ball out, you could get a super cool like Roka wetsuit.
Yeah.
Roka is an amazing company that makes wetsuits, glasses, triathlon suits. Yeah. And the wetsuit can get up into like $500-$600 range.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty spicy.
Drop a bag on a wetsuit.
Yeah.
Do you know what time of year that store does that sale?
That store does the sale around springtime this year.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like right north of Portland. I think it's Portland Tri Club is the name of the store. So
Beautiful.
go check it out. But that's kind of the swimming. So it's
not too complicated.
Yeah, other than running, it's like the least amount of things that you need.
Sure.
The biggest thing is the bike. A lot of things go on the bike. Obviously, you need to get a bike, and you need to get a good quality bike too. You don't want one that's getting flat tires while you're racing. You don't want one with a gear dropping. You don't want your chain falling off. You want to make sure that your gears are working properly. You want to make sure you have a functioning bike, just like how you would want a functioning car to get from A to B. It's pretty much with the bike. I got my bike off of Craigslist during COVID for $500. It's a Orbea Orca triathlon TT bike, and nothing fancy. I added a couple things like aero bars, as well as just doing some tune-ups at the local bike shop. But
you want to explain what aero bars are really quick?
Yeah, so aero bars, you just put them on top of the handlebars that you have on the bike, and pretty much what that does is it puts you into kind of an aerodynamic position on top of the bike, just so that the drag and the flow of the air kind of hits you, kind of just how like with a car with a spoiler gets a little bit less resistance. It kind of puts you into that position so you don't have to use more energy than you need to.
And you rest your forearms on that, right?
Yep. You rest the forearms, you grab with
lean
the
forward.
arms. Yeah. It puts you almost kind of like in a perpendicular position with the bike.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed it. I've used it a couple times. When I train on the bike trainer, I just get on that and just try to hold for as long as I can.
Yeah.
It does take a little bit of time to get used to that position.
Sure.
But overall, it does a world of wonders.
Yeah.
But you need a bike, you need shoes for the bike to clip in, so clip-on shoes. I got mine hand-me-down, so they were free, but typically they can run between $50 and $100.
I just got mine. I think they were $90, and I think they were physics. So
Perfect. Okay.
I think that's a pretty solid brand.
Yeah.
I know, obviously, one of the more popular is the Shimano, obviously.
Shimano, S-Works, Specialized.
Yep.
All those ones.
But $50 to $100, I think, is probably a pretty good price.
Yeah,
for it.
it's manageable. If you wanted to go with the S-Works vintage shoe, that goes for usually like $350.
Yeah.
So that's like a ball out purchase.
Yeah.
But they're shoes. They're not going to do a whole lot for your performance. I'd rather you spend that extra $350 on modifications for your bike, or just putting it on top of the overall purchase price for your bike. But that's just my 2 cents on that. On the bike, you need to make sure you got a helmet. You need to make sure, I usually wear like some padded knuckle gloves to just give my hands a little bit of extra padding. A sick pair of glasses. You always want to rock out. You want the drip.
Yeah, obviously.
And then making sure you got a dripped out jersey too.
Yeah.
You got to have a dripped out jersey.
I got to show you this one, my dad.
Oh, yeah. Pull it out. But while he's grabbing that, just kind of going over price range. Knuckle gloves, usually $20 to $40. A helmet, you can get a decent one for about $50. But if you want a really safe or aerodynamic one, it's looking more close to $100 to $200. But here's the jersey that Logan copped from his pops.
The OG.
Dude, that's such a European vibe right there. With the pockets in the back.
We got the pockets in the back.
Pockets in the back.
Yep.
So we got
A little sauce.
business in the front, party in the back.
Absolutely.
Vibes. Those jerseys usually go for around $80 to $100. Portland has a bike shop called River City Bike Company, and they sell their own gear at a discounted price, and you can get a jersey there for like $60.
And they also tuned up my bike. So
Hey, clutch
shout
up.
out them.
Shout out them.
River City.
Yeah, but glasses, I got mine at Fred Meyer for $30. And then you make sure you want to have nut butter for chafing purposes. You want to make sure that you have everything lubricated and not getting dry and cracked and chafy. And then you also wanted to get padded shorts. So padded shorts, the more you pay, the better quality you get. But what I've also heard is that the more padding you use, at least on the saddle, as well as your padding on your biking shorts, the more uncomfortable they actually get and more painful that they are.
Sure.
So it's kind of counterintuitive, but less is better sometimes in those situations. So I only have medium to thin compression padding on my biking shorts.
Yep.
And those biking shorts, I went to the River City Bike Company, same place. Went to one of their garage sale clearances that happened last year. I'd have to say like June of last year. They do kind of like a garage sale clearance.
Okay.
Got them for like $40.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's mainly all of the biking components. Of course, you want to make sure you have spare tires. You want to make sure you have pump. And a lot more components. And we can go over most of the components in another video. Sure. But overall, with bike and accessories, you're looking close to like $700 to $800 to even getting up into like $1,000 for everything. Sure. And again, I say the more you pay, the better quality you get. Definitely. More is better in that circumstance. And I say ball out on bike more than any of the other racing stuff.
Use discernment on what you invest more in. The
exactly.
things that are going to make the bigger difference.
Yeah. And then lastly, going into run. Yeah. Super easy. Use the same glasses that you wore on the bike. Keep that drip going.
That's awesome.
Yep. You want to make sure you got some sick 5-inch seams running shorts. Got to show off them thighs. Or not. You can just use the shorts that you already have. Yeah. Honestly, the only main purchase that you need for running is the shoes. And I also say this is another place that you need to ball out and make sure that you consistently have good working shoes, because non-good working shoes can be really easy contributor to any injuries that can come out throughout training.
Don't skimp on the shoes.
Yeah. So my recent pair of shoes, they are the Brooks Glycerin 21s. I paid $160 for them. You can find good trainer shoes between $100 to $200. Yeah. I don't think you need to ball out on the carbon plated Hoka Cielos who just came out, or the Brooks Hyperions, or the Nike, is it Vaporfly? Yeah, just don't skimp out on shoes. Try to really stick to their mileage for the soles. If you run up to the mileage for the shoes, get a new pair of shoes. Don't risk trying to overuse that sole.
Tell me about the mileage.
So each shoe's soles have a different set mileage that can kind of withstand before it kind of wears out. Sure. So for example, Hoka Clifton 9s, they have a really low mileage for their insoles. It's around like 200 before you start to feel difference. And then, but for my Brooks Glycerin, he said I could get up to like 350 if I want to, but I'll probably play it safe and just do every 300 miles. Is
that just a simple Google search that you can find that?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, super easy.
And I mentioned this before, but Strava has a feature where you can enter in gear, and it's super helpful for running shoes because you can tell it to notify you when you hit a certain mileage. And actually, this week, I hit 350 miles on the Sauconys. So it's probably about time for me to get a new pair.
Hey, yeah. Let's get you a new pair.
Yeah.
All right, let's upgrade you.
It's about time.
About that time. But yeah, that pretty much is what goes into the equipment. Race day is a little different just because you got fueling, you got nutrition supplements. But yeah, that's kind of...
Really quickly, I want to hear your input on this, and I have a couple things that I'm thinking about, but like
For sure.
the nice to haves, right? The things that you don't need from a bare bones standpoint to do that, to train it, but the things that are nice to have. I think obviously for me, running, a pair of working headphones, right? Just to find a zone, get in it, and especially for the days that, you know, you're tired, you're lacking motivation. That's like it's a must for me.
Yeah.
And I also try to mix in times when I'm training without music too, because you can't do it in the actual event.
Yeah.
So I think that's important too. But yeah, that's huge for me, especially for the biking too, because it can be so monotonous just sitting there. If you have a setup where you can have a little TV in front of you, that's nice.
Yeah.
I also, you know, can set up my phone and watch YouTube or listen to a podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
And it helps pass the time a lot better.
Yeah.
I have been looking into waterproof headphones for swimming.
Ooh.
But I haven't decided if it's a nice to have, worth it purchase yet. So
Gotcha.
still playing with the idea.
Yeah. I like listening to my thoughts instead.
Yeah.
But that's to each their own.
I feel like my thoughts just run wild, like in not a good way. I think when I'm swimming, I just get too hyper focused on everything I'm doing, and I have such a hard time taking my mind off it. And I think with swimming, it's hard because the more I think about breathing, the more anxious I get about it, and then the more, you know, out of breath I become.
Gotcha.
Different small things like that, but that's been a common theme for me lately, is like sometimes I have to force myself to think about literally anything else. So
yeah, I'd say a must have, at least for me, would be a bike trainer.
Yeah.
Living in the Pacific Northwest, rains so much out of the year. It's really hard, or not really hard, but it's really inconvenient to ride in the rain.
And not always safe.
Not always safe. Plus, for working men like us who don't have the royalty of sleeping in and being pro triathletes, we have to do it before work and
before sun.
So I have to get up like at 4:45 a.m. It's pitch black outside. I love living where we do, but we have like no street lights whatsoever or no biking paths. So I would have to wear like a headlamp to ride my bike.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see more than 30 feet in front of me while biking, especially if I'm going like 16, 17 miles an hour.
Yep.
But must have is bike trainer. And I got mine for $50 and you got yours for 40. So
yeah,
you can skimp. You don't need a fancy Wahoo $3,000 stupid bike trainer. You don't need that. Just go to Marketplace. Make sure it works. I'd say if you want to be safe, take your bike there and try to set it up. But if you know your spoke length for the back wheel and it fits within the margins for the bike trainer, you're fine there.
Question there. I don't want to derail us too much, but is there any pros, cons? I'm thinking maybe more cons to just practicing on a stationary bike at the gym.
I think the only biggest con is that it's not your bike.
Yeah.
You're not used to the same angles and gears that you would be on your bike.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's one of the biggest cons. Pro, convenience.
Yep.
I mean, if you're at the gym already, pop on the bike for 30, 45 minutes, or you do your long ride there, great.
Yep.
I mean, you're still working the same muscle groups.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not in the same position on the bike that you would be at home.
Right.
It's only change. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of cut and dry, but
yeah,
that's what I feel like would be the pros and cons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, that's kind of like my must-have for training.
I kind of borders between like a nice to have and like, yeah, you might actually need that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I like it though. That's a great one.
You can get away with it if you live in Southern California or somewhere where it's like not raining every day. But
wouldn't know what that's like.
Yeah, no, but yeah, that's kind of what I got.
Yeah. So that's week 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
A little recap. Jacob's still rehabbing his knee, but we're fully in it now.
Oh yeah. And
Chipping away.
I'm not trying to like be down and in the dumps about my knee either. Like, I know it's a hiccup in the road, but I know there's going to be a lot more hiccups within the next 7 months. So I'm just taking it as a grain of salt, and I'm just taking the perspective of, wow, what an opportunity I get to spend more time on the bike and being able to make sure that I'm rehabbing it properly. I'm making sure I'm doing my stretches, my exercises, and strengthening other parts of my body so that I'm really ready for when I get back out running.
Take it in stride. And then we got a little taste of what the gear is from big picture, bird's eye view, your kind of must-haves and how much those cost and what it looks like to actually, commit and get everything. And the nice thing is you don't have to get everything all at once.
Exactly. Yep. And I mean, triathletes, like, you can ball on a budget if you want. You can drop some bands, but I mean, I dropped less than $1,000 and I spent that over the span of 1 year.
Yeah.
So little bits and pieces here and there, but you have to just drop that.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure you get quality gear, but also if you can take some shortcuts in some places, I say go for it. Unless if it affects your health, your lifestyle, or your kind of mentality moving forward with it.
And I think the big thing that I'm thinking about recently is, like, at face value, that number does sound a little daunting, a little intimidating, but even just the amount of time that we've dedicated to this so far, you think about any other hobby you have and, the value that you put in versus like how much time you spend doing it or how much you invest in it. I think for like the amount of time that we've invested into this, like the financial investment that we put in is completely reasonable. Yeah. If you were thinking about it in terms of like a hobby or a project, like putting in hours and hours in. And so to be able to, slowly invest in that financially, you can kind of see the value in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's one of my only hobbies right now, which, I mean, due to how much time it takes up, but
completely
I love it.
Fair.
I've loved it for the past 2 years. I still love it, and I'm sorry to my wife, but I'm going to love it for years to come. So
I'm afraid I will too.
No, baby.
Sorry,
get you on the triathlon bug.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your time.
Yep. We appreciate all the love that you guys continue to give us. We hope to come back soon with another episode and just continue to show off what we've been putting in and continue going from there.
Yeah. And one more time, I want to say, I know I've said it a couple times, but the video that we did on Jacob's Marathon, the little short film, documentary.
Oh, baby.
It is very close to being done. We have a rough cut, which Jacob hasn't seen yet. He probably won't see it until the final thing.
I hope you get like a video of me reacting to
we can do that.
The video.
We can do that. But it probably won't come out until after this video, but probably shortly after this video. It would mean the world to us if you could share that, watch it yourself, and
get inspired.
Be inspired. But we just put a lot of time into it, and I think it tells a really cool story of Jacob's journey on the marathon, and I think it's a really cool insight into what that day looked like. Yeah, and a really cool milestone along the way. So I'm excited to share it. We're excited to share it. Yeah, and it's gonna be awesome. So
I'm gonna cry.
We're all gonna cry. You're gonna cry.
You're gonna cry.
You're gonna absolutely bawl your eyes out.
Yeah. So sorry, not sorry for boosting it on every single social media platform, but hey.
Yeah.
We love what we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys are loving this as well. Hopefully maybe you're getting a little bit of an itch of a love for some kind of training, even if that's just running. Maybe
or biking
swimming,
or swimming.
maybe biking. Who
Hey,
knows?
Anything.
I would
Just
love
reach out.
it. I would love it if you love that, because I'm still getting there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right.
that's all we got for you guys.
Hey, till next time.
Till next time.
Peace out.
Peace.
Just
Like that.
Time to sleep.